Free speech or racial discrimination? Today, prominent News Limited columnist Andrew Bolt was found guilty of breaching the Racial Discrimination Act for articles he wrote about fair-skinned Aboriginal people. The federal court found Andrew Bolt couldn't call the pieces fair comment because they were riddled with factual errors and not written in good faith. The plaintiffs have welcomed the decision, but the TV and newspaper commentator and the federal opposition have labelled the ruling an attack on free speech. From Melbourne, James Bennett reports.
For the 9 plaintiffs, vindication.
I'm telling you now, this is the highlight of my career, of my life.
This is a terrible day for free speech in this country.
Terrible day for free speech.
Can I at least have my free speech now?
But the federal court ruled free speech has limits, and Andrew Bolt had overstepped them. Justice Morty Bromberg found that 2 opinion pieces Bolt wrote in the Herald Sun in 2009, titled "It's Hip to be Black" and "White is the New Black," were likely to offend, insult, humiliate or intimidate, as they implied that fair-skinned Aboriginal people claimed Aboriginality so they could access what Justice Bromberg termed benefits. He rejected Bolt's contention they were fair comment, saying they contained erroneous facts, distortions of the truth and inflammatory and provocative language. Bolt, who's admitted he used Google to research his subjects instead of contacting them, wrote that lead plaintiff Pat Eatock only started to identify as Aboriginal when she was 19. She says she first realised she was different when her father returned to the North Queensland town where she'd just enrolled in school, aged 5.
And it was seen by the whole town that he was Aboriginal, and everyone went shock, horror, Aboriginal, mixed marriage. So we were promptly taken out of the white side of the playground and put into the black side of the playground.
Not according to any academic analysis. If it was put under scrutiny, it would not stack up.
Academic Wayne Atkinson was another plaintiff. Bolt wrote that his Aboriginality was limited to distant relatives.
They were fundamental errors of fact, distortions or whatever you like to call them, in terms of just selecting those 2 ancestors.
Other errors include mistaking Professor Larissa Barrett's part English ancestry for German, asking rhetorically in one article, "Which people are yours exactly, mein Liebchen?" Justice Bromberg ruled that the lack of care and diligence, together with the derisive tone and the inclusion of gratuitous asides, meant Bolt's articles could not be considered fair comment.
We should not insist on the differences between us, but focus instead on what unites us.
Free speech means the right of people to say what you don't like, not just the right of people to say what you do like.
There is no automatic right to free speech in Australia. You can't freely defame people and you can't freely discriminate against somebody on the grounds of race.
Outspoken QC and media commentator Peter Farris says that Justice Bromberg's identification of fair-skinned Aboriginal as a group within the Racial Discrimination Act is problematic.
We now have a new concept of white Aboriginals, which this judge relies upon. I think that raises nasty divisions, racial divisions.
And Peter Farris believes a Bill of Rights like that in the United States would have protected Andrew Bolt.
In America, the freedom of speech guarantee is taken very, very seriously. This ruling of Justice Bromberg's would never have been made in the United States.
In a statement, Bolt's employer, the Herald and Weekly Times, argues the articles were in the public interest, saying, "We believe that all Australians ought to have the right to express their opinions freely, even where their opinions are controversial or unpopular." Justice Bromberg says he'll order a printed apology from the paper if one is not forthcoming from Andrew Bolt.
We're not trying to stop people from expressing a view, but it's the manner in which it is done.
James Bennett, Lateline.